pads went on, the intensity went up, and the rookies held their own. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody, to this episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, David Harrison, credentialed member of the media covering the Washington Commanders for Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com. And I'm here with you every Monday through Friday. Greatly appreciate you coming through today. Everydayers greatly appreciate you coming through every single day. Of course, this is your daily podcast covering the Washington Commanders. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you are listening to today's episode. On this episode, you are going to hear from Washington Commanders coach Ryan Kerrigan. You're going to hear from running back Jeremy McNichols. We're going to do our Eye of the Tiger Day, Eye on the Tiger. I keep messing up my own segment name. We're going to do Eye on the Tiger Day 5, looking at rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. And of course, we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders strapping on the pads on Monday for the first time in training camp. If you want to discuss any of that, anything else going on with the Washington Commanders, all you got to do is do what my other insiders do already. Shoot me a text message, whether it's your take, your opinion, a question, just a random conversation, whatever it is, you can reach out and text your friend here on ground in Ashburn, Virginia by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. And from there, we'll converse. You'll get bonus content, no apps, no hashtags, no filters. And don't forget, Wednesday, we've got our next Insider Zoom. Haven't pinned down the time for that yet. It's probably looking like it's going to be evening time on the East Coast. That way we can try to get more people who are not available mid-afternoon or at noon for the Saturday Inside Zoom. More to come on that. So again, if you want to get in on that and everything else going on, join subtext.com/LockedOnCommanders to do that today. Met a whole bunch of Commanders fans today at training camp. Greatly appreciate all of you who reached out to me. Had a really cool conversation with another veteran. Talked about Germany, talked about our connections to that country in our time there. So it was really cool. Got to see an old friend of mine as well, former soldier of mine. Now he's a senior NCO, so he's moving up in the world, and that's what we're all trying to do. So really appreciate everybody who reached out and talked to me during training camp. If you're out here, make sure you do that. Or if you're at games during the season, wherever you see me, make sure you say hi. I definitely want to shake your hand and appreciate you for supporting the program. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the NBA, NHL playoffs wound down, the sports just stopped sportsing the way that we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus every single day. That's right. Everybody, everyone, every day, all summer long, you get a boost or a bonus. So visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Day 5 of Washington Commanders training camp. It is not getting any cooler out here. It's only getting hotter. I have my wireless router. You guys don't know this, but in order to do this show, I have to have a wireless router with me out here because the team internet that we get access to doesn't reach out here. And my wireless router literally yesterday during my recording overheated and shut down on me. I had to wait for it to cool down before I continue. So I've got a cool towel out here, got the router on the cool towel, but that is how hot it is out here in Ashburn. I had one Commanders fan try to take a picture with me and her phone wouldn't turn on. It just wouldn't work because it was so hot. So if you come out here, definitely make sure that you are staying hydrated, make sure you're staying cool as much as possible. But now imagine you're an NFL player out there and you see the field behind me, there is no shade back there and you're doing exercise and you got pads on now. That's exactly what the Washington Commanders were going through on Monday. And as you would expect with the fans present, with pads on for the first time, the energy went up, the physicality went up, the competition went up. We did not see one-on-ones. And I mentioned this, if you caught the episode, and Everydayers, I know you did, but if you caught the episode where we previewed the first day of pads, talked about player position groups, talked about a player from each position group, at least one that we really wanted to see show up and show out in the first day in pads. We talked about not knowing if this new Dan Quinn regime and if this coaching staff would kind of follow that ramp up attitude or approach to this whole thing and maybe take it a little bit lighter on day 1 in pads and ramp it up for day 2. That's exactly what they did. They only practiced for about an hour and 15 minutes, and that includes the warm-up session. But in that hour and 15 minutes, they did some red zone work, some team drills. Obviously, they did individual drills. We saw kickoff return practices going on. Wasn't able to video any of that, but we were able to see some of that stuff going on. So they did a lot of work in a very short, relatively short, I should say, amount of time because they're going to ramp that up. So tomorrow, we're expecting a little bit longer of a practice. Maybe we'll get a little bit more. Hopefully, we'll get some one-on-ones. I asked a couple of offensive linemen and said, hey, do you know if you guys doing one-on-ones tomorrow? They said, I don't know, bro, but I hope so because they're ready for it. They're always ready to compete. Talked to a couple other players. They love having the pads on. They love going out there, being able to hit somebody. It's been a long time since they've really been able to go out there and run into somebody full speed, full force. So they definitely enjoy doing it. But they also admitted, just like Dan Quinn said, I asked him before practice, I said, hey, coach, where do you want the intensity level? If you got like a 70%, 60%, kind of where do you look at it? And Coach Quinn didn't really give me a number, but what he said is he kind of likens it to sparring and boxing, where you're working with another person and you're sparring. So you're practicing your punches, practicing your defense. And at the end of the day, when you're sparring, it's really not supposed to be like a winner and a loser. You're supposed to go out there and practice together, and your intent isn't to hurt each other. Your intent is to give each other good looks, good work to lean off of. And that's exactly what we saw from the Washington Commanders. If I had to put a number on it, I'd probably say they're going about 60, 65%, which makes sense for a ramp-up period in pads. Tomorrow, I think you're probably going to see more like 70, 75%. If they do the O-line one-on-ones, I think you might see that thing go up to about 85, 90%, because I think the competitor and the line inside these guys probably just going to take over a little bit. So I know you guys are looking forward to hearing about it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And of course, if you're going to be out here for practice on Tuesday, you might get the opportunity to see it firsthand as well. One-on-ones with the receivers and DBs as well. We want to see that. So as we go through kind of the preview list of everything that we looked at, got to see Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota, obviously the quarterbacks, throwing in pads, throwing to teammates wearing pads. There was one pass where Jaden, I kind of went back to my own preview episode and said, bro, you kind of left your guy out there hanging. And I'm sure that when they go back on tape, that's going to be something that Coach Tavita Pritchard, the quarterback coach, all your offensive coordinators, passing coordinator, they're going to kind of say, and maybe even that receiver's going to say, hey, bro, like next time, do me a favor and don't put me in that position, especially when we're fully live against an opponent that doesn't care if I'm on the IR or if I'm on the roster. So that's going to be one of those throws I think that Jaden's going to learn from and hopefully do better in the future, just not putting his receiver in harm's way necessarily. But then you get to the offensive line specifically. Brandon Coleman, I think he really held his own. He had a couple of really good reps. We'll get more into those notes as well. But overall, I just think the rookies came through with the pads on, did not look like rookies. They didn't look like first-time guys with pads on in the NFL, just getting manhandled by NFL dudes. And believe me, I've seen some guys. So saying that doesn't necessarily inspire a whole lot of confidence probably, but I have seen some rookies come into this league, and as soon as they strap on the pads, all that ability and all that potential and all that toughness, sometimes it kind of goes away. There's some really big examples of that I can think of and remember. But none of that here at Washington Commanders training camp on day 5, so that's good news. The rookies' first day in pads certainly look like they fit. We will have another day in pads tomorrow. But let's talk about the rest of today. Eye on the Tiger. How did Jaden Daniels do in his team sessions? And how did the rest of the team do in their first day in pads? That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Commanders brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports, love them so much, never want them to stop, which is why I love sports video games, because even when it's the offseason, I can just jump on the sticks and make the magic happen myself. But as the playoffs wind down in real life, sports stop sportsing in the real world as much as we want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I need them, whenever I want them. All I got to do is open up the Sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app, dream up any bets I'm in the mood for the time I need competition, and boom, I am competing. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up every single customer with a boost or a bonus every single day. So that's right, there's something for everyone, including you, including me, every day, all summer long. New customers right now, consistently, you've been getting $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. This past weekend, FanDuel had a no-sweat same-game parlay for Major League Baseball. Any game over the weekend, put a 3-leg parlay together with certain criteria that you have to meet. If you do so, even if the parlay doesn't hit, you get that bet credited back to your account by FanDuel. So head over to FanDuel.com, start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Jaden Daniels' first day in pads at Washington Commanders training camp goes 5 for 8, throws 2 touchdowns, and he was sacked 1 time. Of course, he wasn't actually physically sacked because you can't touch the quarterback. So that's coming up next here. Thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day, every single day, every day. Thanks for coming through today. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We got another day of practice, another day in pads, so make sure you come back for that. In the meantime, if you need more sports coverage, make sure you check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in all of sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So eye on the Tiger, LSU Tigers quarterback turned Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels on day 5, first day in pads. Like I said, 5 for 8, 2 touchdowns, and a sack. So let's get into the details here. With the first team, Jaden Daniels went 2 for 5, So not the greatest completion percentage, but he did throw 2 touchdowns. So those completions were very effective, and he was sacked once. So 6 dropbacks, got sacked once. And of course, again, he did not actually get physically hit because this is training camp and he's got the gold jersey on. Second team, he went 3 for 3. So let's look at the breakdown here. Jaden Daniels, first time on the field in team drills. He was with the first team offense. Only 1 drop back on that, a lot of running in that session. So only 1 drop back on that drop back. He was sacked by Daron Payne. John Allen looked to have the initial penetration, kept Jaden Daniels in the pocket because of that quick penetration. Daron Payne came in and cleaned that up. So obviously that's going to be an L for the interior offensive line, really both sides, because again, John Allen and Daron Payne both getting into the backfield fairly quickly, quick enough that Jaden Daniels couldn't escape. But Daron Payne would have been the one that cleaned it up and got credit for the sack. Second series, the Jaden Daniels was on there. He was with the second team. 1 for 1, he completed his first pass through a hitch route to the right side of the field to Kaz Allen. This is the one where Tyler Owens, you know Tyler Owens, that I've been talking about him. We had him on the show just this week. Tyler Owens, that was live. He'd have blown that sucker up. So Kaz Allen, I hope he's somewhere saying, hey, dude, thanks for being a good teammate. Because not only was the ball driving him right into contact with the defender, but Kaz actually bobbled the ball as well, and that caused him to get even more into contact. And if Tyler Owens didn't have that self-discipline, he'd have laid him out. Second pass also completed, screen pass to Jeremy McNichols, the running back you'll hear from here in just a little bit. And his third pass of that set completed on the right side to Demir Burt. So 3 for 3 with the second team there on that drill. His third team drill of the day was a goal line drill. His first team goal line run. They went 0 for 1 on his first pass on a left corner pass intended for Terry McLaurin, just a little too far. Terry wasn't able to get the ball and stay in bounds. 0 for 2 left side, hitch route to Broderick Tremaine, fell incomplete, and then he completed his first pass of the set on the right side to Olamide Zaccheaus, who took it in for a touchdown. The pass was ahead of the goal line. Olamide Zaccheaus took it in for the score. Jaden Daniels' last pass of the set was a flare route to Austin Eckler off of a play action. It was a beautifully executed play. Austin Eckler ended up wide open on the left side of the offensive formation for a touchdown pass. So 2 touchdowns on that set, and that was Jaden Daniels' team sets for the day. So again, overall, 5 for 8 on the day, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack. First team, 2 for 5, 2 touchdowns in the sack. Second team, 3 for 3. So he definitely did better today with the second team as far as a completion percentage rate goes. But then you have the 2 touchdowns in the sack. So again, just a rookie quarterback who's going to have some up and down moments, and you're going to see those growing pains as you go through. But overall, no interceptions, no turnover-worthy passes that I saw. So I think overall a pretty good day for Jaden Daniels in the team set. Some other notes from the Washington Commanders practice, the first practice in pads for the Washington Commanders. Rookie offensive tackle Brandon Coleman was getting first-team left tackle reps on Monday, so that's a really good sign for him, really good sign for his development, a really good sign this team wants to see what he's capable of. At the end of the day, it's not an indication as to who will actually be the starter. Nobody should be saying that Cornelius Lucas is losing that job or has lost that job necessarily, but the fact that they want to see him out there, obviously this team, if they don't believe there's a possibility that Brandon Coleman could be that starting left tackle for them even as a rookie, they wouldn't even throw him out there, right? So the fact that he's out there means that you got a shot, right? Let's quote some movies here. Had a really good rep. I mean, really solid just throughout the day. Really didn't look like too big of a rookie, throughout the whole thing. Dan Quinn was asked about Brandon Coleman and kind of what surprised him so far here in training camp ahead of practice. And Dan said that he always knew he was athletic, knew that he was agile, knew that he had the long arms and all those things, which is why, they felt confident in putting him at the tackle position, even though a lot of people around the league and around the evaluation circuit put him as a guard in the NFL. But what he was surprised of, which is because he said something that's really hard to kind of evaluate when you're doing the drills and the testing and all that stuff, is his balance. So he's got really good balance for a guy that's as big as he is and probably shouldn't have as much balance as he does for a guy that's his size. But he's been really impressed and really happy with that as well. So you saw a lot of that on the first day with pads on. So Brandon Coleman getting some good work first rep or with the first team. Put Cleveland Farrell on 1 rep on his behind, just completely won that rep. Michael Dieter was getting first team left guard reps, so that was pretty interesting to me. Nick Allegretti was getting second team reps, but he was also getting center reps, which is something we have seen Nick Allegretti doing a little bit of snapping, but he was getting center reps with pads on today during some of the team sets. So that was really interesting, something to keep an eye on for sure. And it kind of makes you wonder if the Washington Commanders aren't looking for a way to cross-train some guys. Maybe you're a guard and you're a center capable, or tackle and a guard capable, so maybe they can only keep, say, 9 offensive linemen instead of 10, which I think most teams typically keep about 10. So something to watch as we get towards roster cuts as well. Emmanuel Forbes, again, first-team corner. I mean, he's getting a lot of first-team corner reps, guys. So like I said, they're either they're either looking at him as a first-team cornerback or they're looking at him and saying, we're going to give you every opportunity. So if we do bench you or trade you or whatever, you're not going to be able to say, nobody's going to be able to say, we didn't give you a fighting chance. Coach Quinn, again, was asked about kind of that situation or those similar situations. He did mention Ben St. Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, and Michael Davis all kind of competing for those cornerback reps. This is not a done deal by any means. There is definitely competition there, but Emmanuel Forbes does continue to get the lion's share of that work. Something that we've been seeing that I haven't really mentioned on the show yet that I want to mention today, Jordan McGee, the rookie linebacker out of Temple, has been getting some reps with the first team, and it's reps as the third linebacker. So when this team goes in their base package, 4-3 base defense, whatever you want to call it, he is the third linebacker on the field. It hasn't been Jamin Davis, hasn't been Anthony Pittman. It has been Jordan McGee. So I think that's really interesting. I think he's done a fairly good job accepting that role and taking on that challenge as well. And I don't expect him to really lose those opportunities anytime soon. So that's kind of our wrap up of our notes from the first day of padded training camp here with the Washington Commanders. Again, we got another day coming up tomorrow. But before we get out of here today, I'm going to let you hear from Coach Ryan Kerrigan and running back Jeremy McNichols coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by Game Time, and Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting your baseball tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, and they've got killer last minute deals, which will save you up to 60% on some tickets on the app. All in prices. So when you get to the checkout, there's not a whole lot of fees suddenly attached to your checkout price that you weren't expecting. Views from your seat. So even if you've never been to the ballpark, you can see what it's going to look like when you get there, and their lowest price guarantee. Bottom line, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Friday, August 2nd, you can go see the Nationals host the Milwaukee Brewers for as little as $5. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, guys, we're wrapping up this episode of Locked On Commanders with a couple of interviews, just like we've been doing all training camp long. First up, assistant linebackers coach and pass rush specialist, Ryan Kerrigan. All right, Coach, so let's just start off with just how training camp is going so far.
It's been really good. Been a lot of improvement. I think there's been a good plan in place to get guys ramped up, and good to have the first day of pads out here now. And just everyone's gotta, I know it's cliche, but you gotta keep stacking days and just keep getting better.
Absolutely. And how's your coaching trip going on so far? You've had a little bit of time to get comfortable as a coach. How do you like it?
I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, there's nothing like playing. Nothing beats being out there with the helmet on. But when your body tells you it's time to be done, it's time to be done. So I'm enjoying this next phase of my football life, and hopefully I'm able to impart a lot on the guys.
Absolutely. Fans have been here for a couple of days now, and obviously you know the fan base very well. Coach Quinsley is familiar with the fan base. Is this everything you expected from these guys with everything that's going on around the organization?
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around here. It's really cool to see. I mean, a lot of change, both physically. I mean, you see we got get a new practice field in. Building looks completely different. But it's good. It's good change, and I'm excited to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, I see you working with Coach Harold Tapp a lot, and that energy there. You know him from before as well, right? Like, you just kind of describe to people like what it is about Coach Tapp that kind of makes him so effective.
He's he's high energy. I think being a guy that played in the NFL, I think is always a good thing, and he certainly played. He played a long time, and so he has that rapport with the guys, and he's just been a positive, upbeat guy to be around.
And when Johnny Newton finally get back on the practice field, I know he's itching to get into teams. What have you thought about him since he's been able to get out there with you?
Itching is an understatement. The guy can't wait to get back out there, and I mean, just talking to him, about getting more reps. He's fired up, and he had a tough start to his professional career in the spring, but now he's here and he's ready to roll, and it's got to get him better.
And Jamin Davis, how do you feel he's progressing with his edge cross training?
I think he's doing really well. He's progressing really nicely. He's getting more comfortable with it each day. A guy with that kind of body type, I mean, he's big, he can run really fast. He's what you want in an edge rusher. We just got to develop the skills and develop the traits, and I think he has potential to be a good pass rusher.
And Jamin has obviously credited you guys as coaches, and you specifically, but also Dorrance Armstrong, of kind of helping him kind of get as accelerated as he can at this point. How have you been impressed with Dorrance so far since you got to know him?
Guy's a pro, man. I mean, even today he had a rep where he was tired. It was toward the end of the period, and it's hot out. It's first day of pads, and he goes out and gets a sack, on that play. And I just thought that was really professional of him, because it would have been easy to say, oh, I'm tired there, but no, you got to pass rush when you're tired, and he showed that today. The guy's a consummate pro, and I'm glad he's not on the Cowboys anymore.
Absolutely. All right, that was Coach Kerrigan. Good catching up with him. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you also enjoy hearing from running back Jeremy McNichols. All right, Jeremy, so let's start with the easy one, right? How's camp going so far?
It's great. I mean, it's good to get back to football, of course, in the off season. You're just doing all these drills, and, you don't get to get in pads and really play football, but it's going really well. Staying on top of our bodies in meetings, focused, locked in, and just coming out here and working, just stacking each day, one day at a time.
Absolutely. You've been making some plays out here, too. I mean, you've been in the league for a minute. Like, is that confidence to always be a part of making those plays, be a contributor, always been there, or have you had to kind of build that up as you go through?
I mean, yeah, early on, like, you're a rookie, you really don't know what's going on, and through the years, you just learn how to become a pro, learn how to become a leader, learn how to make plays. Just, that little savviness you get to learn along the way from, different players, just watching film, just that experience. And as you play football, you get better at what you do. So I just think that's where I'm at, playing confident, trying to play at a high level, trying to be the best teammate I can, be the best leader on and off the field that I can, and then just come out here and do my job.
Absolutely. So I was actually writing about and talking about the Buccaneers when you got drafted. So I remember you got drafted there. How have you grown since being drafted into the NFL by the Bucs?
I just think, man, on and off the field, just, having a growth mindset, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, being ready just to be a pro. When I walk in the building, it's work time, and then, when you walk out of the building, putting in work, making sure your body's right, making sure your mind's right, spending time with family, friends, just to make sure, you're all around right just in your life, so you can be the best person and best athlete I can on the field, and being able to do my job when I step in the building each and every day.
Yeah. You're going to know where I'm going to go with this, but who's the most famous coach you've ever played for, would you say?
Famous coach? DQ.
DQ? It's not Snoop.
Oh, yeah.
Let's tell people who don't know about Coach Snoop.
Yeah, man. Coach Snoop, played with Coach Snoop when I was a young boy. Just growing up in LA, growing up in Long Beach. He gives back to the community. He's huge in the LA community. So I got to be around him, and when I was a kid, and going up through high school, playing in his league, and playing with some great players along the way that are still lifelong friends of mine. Yeah. So I mean, he's awesome. I mean, you see him at the Olympics right now, just showing so much love, man. That's who he is. So he's just a great role model and even better person.
Absolutely. And then what is about Dan Quinn though that connects you to him so much?
Man, I just I've been following him since he was with the Falcons, and I just see guys just want to play for him, and that's the same thing I got when he came into here. Like run through a wall for him. Like I want to help him win and help build this organization to his standard, and we all around the league. Like we know what his standard is, and that's what he expects, and that's what we expect out of our players and our coaches to raise their level, especially when he came here. Like just changing everything top down, and the players feel it, and we want to come out here and work, and that's just the mindset that we have for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming here from San Francisco, your last stop, how much of that was Adam Peters related? How much of that was just seeing what's going on here and wanting to be a part of that opportunity?
I mean, it's just a great opportunity here. I mean, it's not many opportunities you get where they organization starts over top down. So just being part of something, a rebuild is something that I was really interested in, and seeing value in it on and off the field. So I think this is a great place for me. Great coaches. I think Adam put together great people around the facility to help build this thing up. So I personally just wanted to be a part of something great, and I know it's going to be great. So started from the bottom and just watching this thing, see where this thing could go, because sky is the limit.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about a couple of relationships. So Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler in your guys' running back room, Chris Rodriguez, a bunch of guys. How do you feel about that group all together?
I think it's great. I think we all mesh really well together, and we all coach each other. We all talk to each other on and off the field, and whatever somebody asks another person a question, like we gonna give them our best advice. I know me and Egg been in the league for a little bit, so especially helping the young guys out, because we want everybody to raise their standard from top down. And that's just our standard in our room, and that's what we're going to hold everybody accountable for in our room. So the guys are great, just getting B-Rob going, you know, it's been really good to see. I've been watching him since Bama,
Yeah.
you know, and even when I met him in the spring, I could just see his play and his elevation, his leadership just skyrocketing. It's going really fast. So I'm excited to watch him this year. And, you know, Eckler's been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just the leadership he has and the knowledge he has. And just every day he comes to work, he's the same guy, you know. And, you know, the young guys coming up, C-Rob, but, you know, coming off his rookie year, just seeing him getting better through the spring. And then, you know, the two young guys, they're also getting better, and they're asking questions, which is great. So
Yeah.
we just all working together, wanting to get better.
And can you talk about your relationship with Coach Lynn as well?
Oh, yeah. It's been great. I mean, like he's been in the league for a while. You know, he's played in the league for a while.
Yeah.
So he is a player. So, you know, those are easier. You know, he's done it before. So everything that he's telling us is really relatable. And, you know, it's been great, man. He just lets us make sure we just go out and play as hard as possible. And, you know, he's a great coach. Been head coach, been running back coach, offensive coordinator around the league. So just all his knowledge and everything he says, and just, you know, even better, just when he, you know, just gets us on game, off the field stuff. You know, that's just great leadership in my eyes. And, you know, Coach Lynn's a great coach. You know?
And then last question for you, I got to ask about Jaden. What are your impressions of the rookie quarterback?
Yeah, great, man. Like when first day he came in here, you know, you see him at LSU, and you know we from the same area, so I seen him balling when he was a young kid in high school. So I mean, talented, sky's the limit for him, and I'm just excited to see where he goes this year and throughout his career.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this episode of Locked On Commanders. Coming up tomorrow, we got another day of padded practice. We're hoping tomorrow we're going to see some offensive line one-on-ones. We'll be able to talk a little bit more about those guys coming up as well as training camp continues. In the meantime, if you've got questions, comments, conversations you want to have with me about your Washington Commanders, all you got to do is text me. Join subtext.com/LockedOnCommanders to become an insider today. Don't forget to also check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever 24/7 live streaming sports channel on YouTube. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day, every day, everydayers. Thanks for coming through every single day. Until we speak again, if you're out and about, please be safe, be kind, and I will see you right back here next time for another episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.